So this
Okay.
is the second live update. We'll be discussing the effects of the coronavirus on Canadian immigration, hosted by Visto and SMB. Sonia, great to have you here. We'll get into that in just a
Thank you.
second. Really quick agenda. We'll do a quick intro of who Sonia and I are. If you've seen the previous videos, then you might already know. I'm going to do a little update on information for individuals and travel. Sonia is going to do a quick update on information more focused around companies, and then we will stick around for a live Q&A. If you have any questions, then feel free to type them in while we're live, or you can save them for the end, whichever you prefer. So who we are, really quickly, we are both Canadian immigration lawyers. My name's Josh Schachnow, CEO of Visto at visto.ai. If you want to check us out, we're a free platform for international students and skilled workers looking to get their permanent residency in Canada. Sonia, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. As you probably know from last time, my name is Sonia, and I'm the principal partner at SMB Law. We're focusing on work permits and the foreign nationals that are trying to come to Canada to work on different projects for several corporations.
And you can check that out at smblaw.ca.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, I
Yeah,
forgot to give my email address out. Yes, you can check me out at Sonia at smblaw.ca.
Yeah, and we have our websites along the bottom if you are watching the video right now. I have the websites there. And of course, a quick disclaimer that we are doing this for informational purposes only. Doesn't create the lawyer-client relationship or anything like that. So just wanted to mention that really quick. But we have been keeping a close eye on the updates from the previous week. So let's get right into quickly a note for the previous updates. So we are doing two things to keep everyone up to date. Number one, we're going live every week like we are right now. And number two is we've created a document, a Google Doc, the Special Measures Update Google Doc. We'll have a link to that in the chat so that you can check it out. But basically, we're summarizing the most up-to-date information all in one place, and I update it every morning before we go live this on these Sundays. So definitely check that out. We'll post the link in the description or in the Facebook chat if you're checking this out on Facebook. And then you can also check out the YouTube video from last week. We'll have a link to that as well. So we did a large update last week because it was our first video. So to see a summary basically of everything we talked about, you can check out the YouTube link there as well. All of that will be in the descriptions. Keep in mind that what we're about to talk about today, some of it overrides what we talked about last week. And so your best bet is to check the most recent video as well as the Google Special Measures doc. So with that being said, let's get into some of the updates for individuals. So again, to check out kind of all of the basics, definitely check out the stuff from last week or the updated Google Doc. But what's changed since our video last week is that there are a few new travel exemptions. And so the primary three that we're talking about today are study and work permit holders and those approved for PR. And so the way it's been worded online on the Canadian CIC website is that temporary work permit holders are now exempt, so they're allowed to travel into Canada, as well as international students who have a valid study permit or who were approved before March 18th. So that's when the travel restrictions took effect. So anyone with a study permit that's valid or was approved before March 18th, work permit holders, as well as those approved for PR. So there were a lot of questions around if you have been approved for PR, if you have your COPR document, can you travel into Canada? As of last week, that answer was no. As of this week, that answer is now yes. If you were approved before March 18th, again, so similar with the study permit, then you are now allowed to travel into Canada. So that's really good news for those people, and there was a lot of curiosity around that. What you do need to make sure is that no matter what your status is, if you're traveling into Canada, you have to isolate for 14 days. Obviously, those are health measures to protect everybody, yourself, and everyone else in the country. And then lastly, flag polling is not considered essential travel. So we've seen this question a lot online and previous clients and stuff like that. Previously, flag polling was an option if you're already within Canada and needed to renew or get a new temporary visa, or in some cases for PR. The government and CBSA is not considering flagpoling essential. So if you try to go to a port of entry to flagpole, they will actually deny your request. So basically, save yourself the time and energy and instead apply for your new work permit or extension online because it won't be allowed at the point of entry. And that's pretty much it for the individual updates. Like I said, for the ones that are already in place, definitely check out the Google Doc that we have. And now I'm going to pass it over to Sonia for the points and updates that companies should be considering.
Thank you, Josh. One thing that I wanted to add on your comments, whoever that has already received a study permit and work permit, obviously, as Josh mentioned, they're allowed to come to Canada, travel right now as of 2 days ago. And this is obviously this has often the question that I was being asked by some of my clients. So the people that have already received their work visa or student visa or have their work permit or study permit are allowed to come back. The questions are, what happens to the people that are going to apply or in the process or haven't submitted their application yet? There's no restriction on applying for work visa and student visa, which means that IRCC is still, accepting applications and continuing to review them. Obviously, the processing times are getting extended, but that doesn't mean that only the people that have got their visa are allowed to come to Canada. The people who are going to apply are still allowed to apply, but obviously the processing times are extended in that sense. So that's something to consider. Some people often think that because I don't have a work visa, I can't even apply for work visa right now. No, that's not the case. You can still apply, but you should consider a longer processing time for your application. So that's something to plug in there. With respect to LMIA applications, we covered it last week. The extension has been given on LMIA confirmations, which was traditionally been for 6 months. Now they are going to be extended for 9 months. So whoever that has, whatever company or employer that has LMIA confirmation for foreign national, the foreign national can land in Canada within the 9-month period. So it's not 6 months, it's been extended 3 months further. The GTS applications, global talent stream applications. So the employers that apply through the global talent stream, they know that they have a 12-month review for all of the LMIA applications that they submit. Now, ESCC, I had a fairly long conversation with the ESCC officer last week on one of my clients' matters. And I got a confirmation that ESDC is considering this situation and is canceling or stopping the 12-month reviews for now to give some relief to some employers that are suffering from this situation. Now, whoever that is familiar with the global talent stream knows that there are some commitments that the employers have to provide to the government. Some of the commitments involves hiring Canadians and permanent residents, or raising the growth of the revenue of the company for a certain amount. And obviously, because of the situation, none of these are really feasible anymore. And ESCC is absolutely mindful of the fact. And so for that purpose, there are not stalling is probably not the word, but canceling the 12-month period reviews as of now. The processing times for GTS LMIA applications, the GTS applications are known to be the fastest way of, getting the LMIA confirmation, and it used to be 10 business days for the processing time. That also is being extended. So is everything else that comes, that deals with immigration or ESCC. There's no certain time frame as of now, but it's not 2 weeks processing anymore. It's as the employers should expect a little bit of a longer processing time. The Quebec online LMIAs. Okay, so Quebec government has announced last week that LMIA applications or whoever that's applying for LMIA in that province can submit all the application forms and documents online. And they've given email address, which I believe Josh has posted on our live documents, so you can check that email address as well. They've asked all the documents to be sent in a PDF format as well as the application forms. But what is confusing, and I actually had the experience of dealing with it myself personally, because we had a file that had to be sent to MIFI and ESCC in Quebec last week. And so what is not clear in that email is that for whoever that's applying for GTS through the GTS category, the employers have to submit, or the foreign nationals have to submit, the CAQ applications as well as LMIA applications at the same time, because this process is meant to be the fast process. And therefore, the Ministry of Immigration in Quebec is requesting the CAQ application and LMIA applications at the same time. What is confusing in that email that we got from Quebec ESCC office is that there is no indication of what is going to happen to CAQ applications. They're just asking people to send a copy of CAQ applications and LMIA applications to the Ministry of Immigration by mail. So if we're going to send it by mail, why would we have to send it by email again to ESCC? So there's a little bit of a confusion there, and I'm trying to figure out. I have no answer for it as of yet, but I'm trying to figure out what the process is going to be specifically for GTS applications. For any other kind of LMIA application, high wage, low wage, or any other categories, this email address will be a good source to send everything online. But for GTS applications, because we're dealing with Ministry of Immigration as well for CAQ applications, there's still some uncertainties that I need to figure out, and I will absolutely probably have some sort of an answer for it for our next update.
Yeah, and we'll post that in the document as well if it comes up. In the
Right.
meantime, that email is listed in our Google Doc as well.
Right. I
Awesome.
guess I covered everything, right?
You covered everything
Right.
brilliantly, Sonia. So
Thank you.
yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, summarizing the changes from the last 7 days. That's the beauty of doing these weekly is if you do need to catch up on the basics, like I said, definitely check out the special measures Google Doc that we will link to in the comments. As well, you can check out the video from last week. But again, remember that some of the things we covered today, more specifically the exemptions for the study permit and PR holders, other than that, there's not too much that contradicts last week's video, so I definitely think it's worth taking a look at. And now, if anybody has any questions, feel free to post them in the Facebook chat. Sonia and I will stick around for as many minutes as it takes to answer all of them. Really appreciate anyone who tuned in live. So if you have tuned in live, feel free to type in your questions. If you haven't tuned in live, then we will continue to run these live every week. Make sure to follow the Visto Facebook page. That's where we stream these live every week. And if you do have any questions, any comments, any feedback, you can post them in the chat right now, or feel free to reach out to Sonia or I individually. I'm at josh@visto.ai, and Sonia is at sonia@smblaw.ca. Those emails are on the video right now, so hopefully you can read those properly.